Please tell us about leading edge materials and your flagship asset, the Woxna graphite production facility.
Leading Edge Materials is a TSXV listed company, also trading on NASDAQ under the ticker NASDAQ First North under the ticker LEMSE. We're a specialty materials company targeting the supply of the raw materials or critical materials for the lithium-ion battery sector and the greater green energy, say, revolution or the uptake and diversion away from traditional combustion engine drive units for electric vehicles. As part of that, we have, or our key asset is our Woxna graphite facility, and it is a fully permitted and operational facility that's able to produce a concentrate, which then is value added, and that value added material is a key material for lithium-ion batteries for the anodes. So we're working with end users to develop that value-adding process to meet their specifications.
What are your long-term goals for Leading Edge, and what role does Woxna play in reaching those goals?
So the long-term goal for Leading Edge Materials is to become a European supplier of European-sourced raw materials. All our assets are located in Sweden, and of course our flagship asset, the Woxna graphite facility, is located just three and a half hours north of Stockholm. And it is a fully permitted facility, so our goals with that is to use the production from that facility to supply future manufacturers of lithium-ion batteries lithium-ion battery cells here in Europe.
Please tell us about the progress you have made in marketing your specialty materials to end users, most notably your partnership with Northwolt.
So a key part of our business is aligning our products, be it the graphite from our graphite facility or even future materials such as lithium or cobalt, which we also are seeking out here in Europe. But certainly for our graphite, we have established a relationship with the Northwolt group as part of their supply chain, doing a research and development project. It's pretty exciting to be part of that and be part of the group that's determining the viability or feasibility of a large-scale battery cell manufacturing plant here in Sweden. There are, of course, other large-scale battery cell manufacturers planning to start manufacturing in Europe and Germany and elsewhere. So we're also working with them because it's important for us as a supplier of raw materials that we have more than one customer, and equally so those customers will be seeking out other alternative supplies. So we're working with a number of German customers, potential customers, as well as here in Sweden, as I mentioned, with Northwolt. So it's an exciting time for the company because we have to take it from being just a producer of a standard beneficiated product to these value-added products which are aligned to each individual customer specifications. So every time we establish a new relationship, it's working through their requirements, specific requirements for those products, and then that introduces us to the possibility of supplying them some of these other materials that they'll need in the future, such as lithium and cobalt and the like.
Leading Edge has commenced a number of research and development projects on graphite, graphene, and lithium-ion battery manufacturing. Tell us about these projects.
Absolutely. Over the last probably 8 months, we've announced 4 projects. One of them is, I've mentioned before already, is this R&D project we're doing through Kikino Energy with Northvolt, which is established determining the feasibility of establishment of a large-scale cell plant in Sweden. Another one is as a high-purity project. We're working with Angstrom Battery Lab through a Vinnova grant, and that is actually looking at fine-tuning the process that we've identified for value-adding our graphite from our Woxna facility. So that's pretty exciting because it'll allow us to identify a more cost-effective or more efficient manner to produce the materials to the specifications of our customer. Then we have 2 other more graphene and sort of specialty materials. One is for the utilization of our graphite in composite materials, and so more about light weighting rather than batteries. So light weighting is critical for the aeronautic industry because weight is a problem. The lighter the plane, the better the plane can do its job. And then lastly, we're working with a group also through a Vinnova-funded project, which is taking our graphite and even our graphene and incorporating it into some of the newer battery chemistries that are out there, incorporating silicon and the like. So all these projects are ongoing now, and I hope to be able to provide updates as we get them from our research partners to keep our investors informed.
Can you tell us about the results from your maiden drill program at the Bergby lithium project and the value this asset brings to the shareholders?
As I mentioned, our flagship is our Woxna graphite facility, but we are seeking out other commodities which are required for the specialty battery market. So we've also been looking at lithium, and we've drilled out the Bergby project with just 3,000 meters to date, but the results have been pretty impressive. We're very pleased with what we found so far. It still requires further work and obviously the development work that would follow on, assuming we've defined a large enough deposit. But currently we're very happy with the results. As I mentioned, 3,000 meters. We've seen some pretty decent percentages, but certainly as a general average, we're probably seeing 1.5%, which is in line with expectations for a lithium deposit here in Europe. So next steps for that will be to do some evaluation from a metallurgical point of view, and then also make some determinations of what would be the next sort of step out drilling in order to expand or better understand the deposit. So again, Bergby is another avenue for us to be pursuing for supplying our future customers, not only graphite, but also possibly lithium.
Can you give us a summary of the assets Leading Edge Materials holds and the future of those assets?
So Leading Edge Materials is targeting the supply of these specialty materials, and in order to do that, we need assets. So one of our flagship assets, of course, is the Woxna graphite facility. So that's graphite. So that provides materials for the anodes in the lithium-ion battery sector. Our next asset is our Bergby, which I've mentioned is lithium. So it's very early stage at this point, but again, it's one of the key materials that's required for manufacturing of battery cells. So we're optimistic that that could indeed be a source of lithium in the future for our future customers. We also have the Northwolt rare earth project, which is not directly related to supplying specialty materials for batteries per se, but it's about the accompanying attributes of that same sector. So if you have an electric vehicle, it needs electric motors need rare earth magnets. So Northwolt is one of the larger discoveries in the past few years, and is certainly a very well-regarded European asset, not only to our company, but also recognized by sort of the governments as a significant or critical asset. So Northwolt has a great future ahead of it. The timing of that is going to be somewhat subject to relationships with the likes of China, who dominates the rare earth market currently. But it's certainly one of an asset to keep an eye out on, and we'll continue to do work on that asset to expand or better understand the most efficient processing that we can apply to the deposit to minimize waste and also maximize the economics of the project. So that's a pretty exciting project for us. We also have the Contio Cobalt project, which is a very early stage property that we've staked in Finland, and we'll start doing some work on that in the next few months and be able to report back on it. But part of our cobalt strategy is to seek out potential properties in Europe, and we're continuing to look for both cobalt and lithium properties to add to our asset base.
What important catalysts for Leading Edge can we expect to see in the coming year?
Catalyst for the company over the next couple of years, or certainly over the next year, is going to be what I would like to see is that we actually forge a clear relationship with an end user. The market for our products is tied to consumption of our products, and the consumers are people that manufacture battery cells. Currently, the cell manufacturers in Europe are not sufficient or significant enough in order to create any demand that would be suitable for our facility. But there are some big plans for up to 34 gigawatt hour plants by the likes of Northwolt, and there's a couple in Germany as well that are targeting similar scale. So what I'm hopeful of as a catalyst for us is to take us from this next step of being not only a producer, but a producer with a relationship with a future end user. Another catalyst, I guess, is we've recently listed on NASDAQ First North as of a couple of weeks ago now. So that's a pretty exciting change for us. So we are able to tell our story here in Sweden and in Europe, and that gives investors, in fact, a whole new group of investors, an opportunity to understand our story and possibly see merit in it and provide us with the support that we expect. But the Swedish investor seems to be very interested in this space, and I believe we have something pretty significant to offer to them. So I hope to see an uptake of a dominance, I guess, or a greater number of European investors as a result of our being so European-centric. And I guess thirdly will be just taking our flagship asset not only through relationships with customers, but taking it to the next level of sort of pilot type production of materials that will then serve those future customers. And the customers aren't going to be instantaneously saying, "I'll take your product and we'll talk about it next week." It's a very iterative process. We give them samples, maybe 100 kilograms. They do some testing on it, then we have to do a bit of refinement or modification to ensure that they have what they need and also that we can produce it on a consistent basis. So that process of establishing a relationship with an end user is a multi-phased process, and I see that happening over the next 12 to 24 months.